Hey guys, Kevin Smith for Awkward, Season 5, Episode 7, The Big Reveal, and this was just, holy shit, this was a huge episode. I mean, I did not expect this episode to be nearly as big as it was, but it really was a big episode, and especially in terms of plot, this was by far the most plot-driven heavy episode we've had of Awkward, because I've told you guys before, there are two kinds of episodes of Awkward. There are the episodes that tell lessons for one episode, and that's what it's about, and then there are the episodes that are very plot-heavy and very plot-driven, and a lot happens in it, and this was the latter. And I have to say, by far this episode of season, maybe one of the most mature episodes Awkward's ever done. I mean, honestly, maybe the most mature they've ever done. I mean, I loved this episode. We really got into Jen and Matty's relationship very well in this episode, and I really loved the way this episode went. I know some people were just a bit disappointed by it, but I personally thought it was great, and I definitely really loved that. So let's just get into this episode. A lot to talk about, and I can't wait for. There's only 3 episodes left of Palos Hills. We only have 3 episodes left of them staying in this, staying in high school. And then when we come back from the show, it's going to be the time jump. So we'll have to see how that goes. But I'm really loving where they're going with this season. But let's get into this episode. So Jenna talks about how there are only 23 days left till graduation. Now everyone's worrying about college decision day and saying goodbye, but she's all focused on telling Matty that she loves him. That basically is what she wants to do, because obviously she loves Matty, and she wants to tell him that, and she's at peace, and she already committed to Wyckoff. She's already committed there, and Lacey and Kevin then come in and tell her that they had 3 months there. They just had their 3 months. They just had their first ultrasound, and the sex of the baby is in the envelope, but they don't want to reveal what it is. Lacey doesn't know, but Kevin apparently does know, and Jenna's hoping that it's a girl, and Lacey says that they are going to have a gender reveal party for the baby, that they make a cake, basically what they do, and I don't know if they actually do this, but I think this is kind of cool. They make a cake and pick a color, and when everyone cuts into it, they find out the sex of the baby. It's either pink or blue. That's how it works. So Lacey says it's a party run by her best friends, but since everyone's unavailable, she decides to have Jenna throw it, which Jenna offers, but you can tell that Lacey is trying to persuade her into doing it anyway, which I thought was definitely very funny. And she wants to make the party special, and she agrees to it, but tells Jenna not to look at the envelope, which Jenna agrees. However, she ends up tossing it into the toilet, which reveals the baby's a girl, and obviously she's really upset about that. So Lacey asks what's going on. Jenna says everything is fine. Lacey talks about the colors for the party, but Jenna's focusing on which outfit she should tell Matty that she loves him, because she doesn't really know what to tell him. And you can tell that she's going through a lot of pre-planning here, and that's something that I think is not, that's something that I think we all can relate to, but I think Jenna is planning way too much. You can just tell in the scene that she's way too focused on, telling Matty that she loves him. That's what she's really focused on at this point. So Lacey asks what's going on, but of course she doesn't know that she's still in love with Matty, and Jenna says that she is, and that she is happy, and she thinks she still has feelings for Matty, and she's pretty sure he feels the same way, and she knows it's crazy, and she tells her about the dream about Matty, and she thinks the problem is that they're bad at communicating, and I honestly would agree with that. I mean, ever since they've split up, they've kind of gone through this thing where we really, they've been having problems communicating, they haven't really talked as much, it's a thing they've gone through, and it's understandable, because obviously, it's hard talking to your ex. It just is. I obviously can't relate to that, but when it's someone that you've dated or someone you've had a crush on, it's awkward. That's just how it is, and no pun intended, but that's how it is. When you're with someone you've dated, it's obviously going to be awkward because those feelings are still there. They haven't gone anywhere. You might not feel exactly the same way. You might not be dating that person, but those feelings you had about them are most likely still there. So I can understand why this is really hard for Jenna, and I can totally understand why that's happening. So Lacey actually doesn't think this is a good idea. That's, since she's been down the road before, and Jenna says she thought she would be more supportive since she's always been a fan of Matty, but Lacey says she is, but sometimes it's just best to move on. She has so much to look forward to, and then starts talking about her party again, and Jenna says she's sorry for bothering her, for boring her, and Kevin asks what's going on, and Lacey talks about how she's really upset because of, what happened with Matty on spring break. If you remember, and I didn't think this would be a huge deal, but it ends up being a huge deal in this episode. I really loved the way they referred back to that, because I didn't really think much of it, but then it really worked very well in context here, because if you remember, Matty was going to look for Jenna, and of course, he had just missed Jenna, and Lacey told him that it was just too late, and she tells Kevin to tell her she's a horrible person, but then when he tells her that, she starts lashing out at him before he even says anything, and I thought that was just a very funny scene. I really love that, and Lacey and Kevin interaction, we don't get a lot of it, but when we do, it's always very funny, and I definitely really loved it. So, basically, Jenna says that she knew that someone would be happy for her when, who understood that when love is in your heart, you had to share. But that person is Tamara, and Tamara is probably in the worst of spirits. And I really love seeing this more dark, even mature side of Tamara in this episode, because we've never really seen Tamara actually say that something was her fault and say that she was wrong with something. And she, in this episode, I think, having that talk with Gabby really got her to mature. She's no longer just focused on love. She's focused on her future, and it's something that I definitely love seeing. I understand someone could think it's too late, but this is the side of Tamara that we've never seen before, and I would really love to see it again, because I thought it was really interesting. She's talking about how love is dead, and Jenna asks how long her dark journey will last, and Tamara says that Adam's love for her was real, and she killed it, and Jenna fired the gun, and she loaded it, and Jenna says we'll get better, and tells her to come help her with the party, and Tamara understands why Lacey wants it, which causes her to rhyme, and she's very defensive as well. You can tell that she really doesn't want to put up with anyone's shit at this point. She's very defensive, and Jenna says she's starting to feel like her old self again, and I thought that was pretty funny that that's causing her to rhyme, which makes her feel like her old self again. So then we get to college decision day, and Sadie goes near the college map to show she's enrolling at Columbia. And I like this scene because it just kind of showed where everyone's going to be going after this half of the season, after high school. It shows where everyone's going to be going, and I definitely like seeing that. And Jake and Matty seem to be back to being best friends again. In fact, they were probably the closest we've seen them since the whole Gabby thing went down. But I think that they've realized that they need to forgive each other for that. They shouldn't get upset over something stupid, and I think it was probably the mature thing for them to do, was to make up and move on, which I knew was going to happen. I didn't know if it was going to happen, but it seems like here they've moved past it, and I didn't know if it would work, but no, it seems like they've completely moved past it, and I really was happy about that. So Jake says that he's going to add a safety school, which Sadie thinks is for losers, which it is good to have a backup, all those safety schools. But Darlene is texting her about lunch. She has been spending nights at her condo, and she insists on bringing her lunch. And Matty said it's a complete 180 with Darlene that he would never see coming. And Sadie says it will take a lot more for Sadie to forgive her for treating her like shit most of her life. And that's understandable. I mean, Darlene obviously is treated like shit, and even though she's trying to bond with Sadie, you can tell that it's not exactly working. Even though, Darlene wants it to work, it's not working as well as, she thinks it is. So Jenna then sees Matty, and she takes this opportunity to basically just tell him straight out, but it doesn't end up going well at all. Because he ends up getting a text he ends up getting a phone call right in the middle of it, and basically, before she can tell him, he gets a phone call, which Jen's happy about since she believes she sounded crazy telling him about it, which, yeah, like I said, she definitely sounded, like I said, I think she did plan too much, and she can tell that she sounded very crazy. And she says she needs to stop rambling and just get to the point, which is probably not the right thing to do. I mean, yeah, I understand you need to get to the point, but you shouldn't just say straight out, oh, I like you. You shouldn't just do that. You have to plan it out accordingly. And it's, one of the hardest things for anyone to do is just tell someone that you like, that you like them. I mean, it is very hard. I've had girls that I like. In fact, there was a girl that I do like, and it's hard to tell her that I like her, honestly. That's how it works. It's just a hard thing you have to go through because you don't know how they're going to react. You don't know if they feel the same way. It's just very, very, different. It's very weird to do that, and I definitely like seeing Jenna go through that here. I definitely like that. So Matty gets off the phone and tells them an incoming freshman at Berkeley College shattered his ankle in soccer. They have one spot available, and he got it. He's going to Berkeley College next year. He's enrolling at Berkeley College next year, which I think is really cool that we found that out, because we didn't seem like Matty had many plans with college, but now it seems like he did, and I like really seeing that. And it was his number one choice. He puts the flag on the board, and he asked Jenna what she was going to say, and she says it was nothing. So Darlene then gives Sadie sushi, and Sadie asks if her boyfriend Ted is still coming into town. We get introduced to basically Darlene's boyfriend, and she says he is, but she doesn't have to meet him until she's ready, and she says she is. She says she really wants to know what she thinks of him. Her approval means a lot, and she just really wants her, and, she wants Sadie and her boyfriend Ted to bond very well, because that's, because he's a really nice guy, and you really see that here. So basically, Jenna then sees Matty sitting alone at lunch and decides to ask him right then and there, and he tells her he loves her too. They kiss, everyone starts chanting Jaddy, but this is clearly just a fantasy in Jenna's head. I mean, the second that he said he loved her and they got in the kitchen and they got on the table and kissed, you could tell it was fake. It's something out of a movie. It's a fantasy, and in reality, Sadie goes to sit with Matty, And, Jenna casually asks him what he's doing Saturday, but he says he has plans with Jake, but she can tag along if she wants to. And she talks about how she wants a date between the two of them alone. He asks her if she's going to tell him what this is about, and she says she will on Saturday, and basically it seems like things are going well there. So, Jenna and Lacey set up the decorations for the party, which Jenna is happy to know that soon will be over because then she'll get to tell Matty, of course, her big reveal, which, big reveal, perfect title for this episode. Everyone seemed to have, like, a big reveal in this episode. But Lacey says they should go out to dinner and celebrate after the party. Jenna says she can't, she has plans with Matty, and Kevin says she has something to tell her, and Lacey then tells her about spring break with Matty, which was the right thing to do, but Jenna is obviously pissed. She's obviously very pissed at her, and Lacey said she helped him find his dad and he left her, and she's really mad about it, and Jenna says that she was too, and Lacey says she thought she was helping, and Jenna says interfering is not helping, it's bad enough, and I do agree that this was not really Lacey's place to do this. Even though Lacey was trying to do a nice thing, it really wasn't her place to just say, oh, well, Jenna doesn't care about you anymore. It wasn't really her place to do that. Jenna should have confronted him about it, and, Lacey is a really great mother, but she is very overbearing sometimes. That's a very good example of how overbearing Lacey can be, and I know it was a sweet thing that she did. It was good intentions, but it just probably was not her place to do that, and wasn't the best, place to do that, definitely. So, then she talks about how happy she was with Brian and how she really felt she was helping, but Jenna says all she was doing was getting in the way, and she's actually really upset at Lacey for doing this. I was surprised by how upset Jenna was, but the doorbell rings. Lacey says they'll talk about this later, and then we get this great scene between Jake and Matty, which I really love seeing here. This season has really been lacking Jake and Matty, obviously because they've been at each other's throats, and it's been very awkward between them for most of the season. But now that they're best friends again, we got to have a really great scene between Jake and Matty that I really like seeing, because I don't think there's going to be many more of them. I really don't. So Jake asks Matty when train starts for soccer at Berkeley, and Matty says he hasn't committed yet. He's just going everything. He's just looking over everything one more time, which I think is a good thing to do. Make sure that this is the school you want to go to before you commit. Just see what's out there. It's a good strategy, definitely. And Jake says the other schools aren't as good as Berkeley, and Jake says they're celebrating tonight, and Matty says he has other plans with Jenna, and Jake says that Jenna's going to Wyckoff in Maine, and it's not going to work since he's going to Berkeley, and he says all week she's been sending signals that she wants to get back together, and Jake says he's reading too much into it, and Matty says they might have gone together on spring break if he hadn't messed things up, and I do agree with that. I think Jen and Matty probably would have gotten together on spring break, if things would have been better, definitely. If things would have been better between the two of them and things would have worked out differently, I do think they had a chance of doing that. I don't think Jenna was very interested in getting back together with Matty at the time, but I think he probably would have been able to convince her. Now that we know that she's always been in love with Matty, I think he probably would have been able to convince her on that, so I like seeing that. And, basically, he says that all week, and basically Matty says they might have gone together, and Jake says she moved on quickly, and Matty reminds him that he did too, and Jake says anytime she looks his way, he's ready to jump, and that's true. Anytime, it seems like that she makes one little signal, he immediately thinks that they're back together, and he should probably try to be a bit more just, resourceful, and kind of just be kind of standoffish, and not give Jenna the satisfaction she wants. It's good to play hard to get sometimes, because it's just better for him to do that, and I do agree that he is playing very easy. He's very easy to get, and I like Jake's advice there, definitely. So at the party, Lacey talks about her cravings in pregnancy, which Ellie is bored to tears with. It's very funny. And Jenna tells Tamara that she's missing out. And Tamara says it has to retire, and she tells Tamara about spring break, and this scene with Tamara is by far one of my favorite scenes we have had with Tamara, I think, in this entire show. Because, like I said, we've never really seen this side of Tamara before. We've never seen a side of Tamara that doesn't take Jenna's side. We've never seen a side of Tamara that is actually mature and actually thinks things through. And she really does here. I definitely liked seeing that here. Definitely. I thought that was very well done. So, Tamara says that she actually sees Lacey's point. She understands where Lacey is coming from, and she gets why, they're doing that. I definitely like seeing that between, Lacey. I like seeing Tamara say, look, I do agree with her. She's not going to take Jenna's side here, and she says that she's not taking sides, and basically, Allie has this great thing where she talks about how she can't hear any more stories from Lacey, and if she tells anyone, she might kill her. I thought that was pretty funny. But Jenna says she can't take sides, and Tamara says she's not, and Allie takes a bite of the cake, and Jenna tells her it's for the Jenna reveal party, and no one can know it's pink inside, and tells her not to tell anyone, and Allie says she doesn't plan on it, so obviously that didn't go well. And Sadie is then at a dinner with Ted and Darlene, and this was really interesting with Ted and Darlene here, because he says she's as great as Darlene said, and she was, and he says it's great to finally meet her, and we realize that he has actually did visit there in September, but Darlene did not have him meet Sadie because, quote unquote, she basically lied and said that Sadie was too busy applying to colleges, which of course is the complete opposite. We know that Sadie was available. She was actually working, I believe, at that what was that place she was working at, that like restaurant where she was with Sergio, that meat thing, and it's great how attuned she is to her, even though they had to live in different cities. But of course, it's all a lie. Darlene is lying through her teeth to make herself look good. And so I'm kind of starting to think that all this whole thing with Darlene, we kind of misread her. It seemed like Darlene really wanted to turn things around with Sadie, but now it seems like she only did that because she wanted her to look good in front of Ted, and she wanted it to make, she wanted she wanted to make it seem like she was a good mother. I really feel like that's why Darlene has now gone out of her way to do all this, and it makes sense why, definitely. So Tamara and Jenna try to fix the cake, but it doesn't seem to be working, and she says she needs to go to the store to get white icing, and Jenna says it will take too long. She's going out after, and she tells her about her date with Matty, and I love what Tamara tells her. She tells her straight out, it's too late, and the time for shipping Matty and Jenna has sailed, and I like that she actually said that she didn't say shipping Jaddy. It was more mature what Tamara said here, and she says that, it's sunk multiple times. She says the two of them were never good for each other, and even if she does manage to not screw it up, she doesn't think she can handle the distance, and I do agree with her that long distance is a problem in relationships. I mean, you have to be able to handle that, and that's something that is very hard. It's going to be very hard for Matty and Jenna. It's probably the first time they're not seeing each other on a daily basis, and obviously it will probably get too hard for them. So I like Tamara saying that. So they bring the cake in, and Kevin asks where they want and basically Tamara then says that she still loves Adam, but she screwed up because she didn't think things through all the way, and she knows that they can't be together anymore. And Jenna says she thought she would understand, and they bring the cake in, and obviously things are very intense between Jenna and Tamara now. I really love it, and I hope we get more of this this season, because I really am loving this darker side of Tamara. We haven't really seen such a mature side of her, but I love seeing that here because we're so used to her being just a fun character. It was really cool to see her have something dramatic. Probably the most dramatic we've seen Tamara in this entire show, which I love seeing. So basically, they bring out the cake, and Kevin asks where they want the presents, and it opens up with pink balloons inside, and Kevin said he already knew, and when Lacey is about to cut the cake, Val then returns, which I was very happy about, because Val kind of just left, and it didn't seem like they were going to bring her up again, but no, she's now back, and she talks about how she wanted to travel the world. She couldn't commit to Will until she could see the world, and she talks about all the people she met, and Lacey realizes that no one really cares about her party. Nobody really wants to talk about her. It seems like they just want to talk about Val, and I thought that was pretty funny. And Jenna tells her that she's being a baby, and that Lacey needs to just not be such a baby, and that she did everything for her, and she's still complaining. She says she had enough, and talks about Lacey can't handling birth control, and obviously Jenna knows that that was out of line right there. She apologized, and we get this great scene between Lacey and Jenna. Lacey says she wanted the party to be perfect because she wants everything to be perfect for this baby, and wants to be a better parent this time around. And while I understand that, I do think Lacey is doing a bit too much of that. She's trying to make it perfect, and when you try to make something a certain way, it doesn't turn out that way. That's just how it works out. And basically, Lacey tells her she's sorry, and it's killing her that she might have ruined her and Matty's chances of getting together on spring break, and Jenna says it was for the best. She hopes it's not too late, and Lacey says she can still make the most of every moment, and it's just a really great scene between the two of them. So Ted then talks about how close Sadie and Darlene are. Darlene then spills a drink on herself, which is the first time they haven't censored anything in this show. She said shit, and they didn't censor it. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but she actually said shit, and they didn't censor it. Pretty cool. I like that. I like them not censoring it. I don't like it when MTV censors stuff. I don't find it funny. I find it annoying. Nothing against the show. Every show on MTV does that. I've never liked the way they do that. I honestly think it's very annoying. So she goes to the bathroom, and Ted then says that Darlene is really something, and he talks about how Darlene has made it seem like Darlene and Sadie have stayed close throughout the past 2 years through Skype and texting, and Sadie knows that Darlene's lying through her teeth, and Sadie says she knows it better than ever and is clearly pissed at her, but lying to Ted, and that bond that Darlene and Sadie had, it's pretty much fractured now, and I don't think that things are going to be good between Sadie and Darlene. I really don't see things going well there at all. So, Lacey comes out for the party. Jenna lets it slip that the baby's a girl, and Lacey realizes that everyone knew but her, and Val comes out and congratulates her, and we realize that Val actually went to Epcot to travel all these places. She didn't actually go around the world. She went to Epcot, and she plans on marrying Will now, not just getting back together with him, but actually marrying him, and she can tell that he wants to marry her, and she wants to marry him too, and I do agree. You can tell that Will really does care about her, but marriage, again, I think she really does need to think this through, but hopefully this does work out for her, because I really do like Val having a legit love interest. I like seeing that. And especially now that things are changing, she's not going to have Jenna and things like that, I like that she is trying to move on with her life. So, we go to Jenna and Matty's date, which is probably one of the most mature scenes we've ever had in Awkward history. I absolutely loved this scene. I know a lot of people didn't, but I thought this was the perfect way for this to go, because I really wanted this to be the direction the season was going. I really wanted it to be the direction here, and it really seems like this is inevitable what's going to happen here, because on their date, Matty says it feels like it's their first date all over again, except they're not in a closet at summer camp, and Jenna tries to find the right time to tell him. They talk about Berkeley, and he tells her he got into Ferry too, which is only a few hours away, and he basically plans on going to Ferry because she's going to Berkeley, and he thinks that she, is into him, and that she really doesn't want to be with him, and he can tell the signals that she's been giving him, and she realizes that, the thing I love about this is that she realizes she can never tell Matty that she loves him, simply because she does. She just can't tell him that, even though she wants to. Because she loves him, she wants him to make the right decision. She doesn't want him to throw his entire life away for her, and that's just not the right thing to do. So she tells him that it's best for them to move on, and she tells him they're celebrating him getting into Berkeley, and she just wanted to say she hopes they can stay really close with them, friends with them, on living on opposite side of the country. And after the dinner, she tells him it was fun. They both wave to each other. He drives away upset. Jenna cries as Lacey comforts her and tells her she couldn't say it, and that's how the episode ends. And I thought that was an amazing ending. I really feel that it's, Jenna is very mature for doing that, but I like that she did the mature thing. I was worried that it was going to be, this forced thing where Jenna tells Matty, and I knew it was going to go that way. I was really hoping it would go that way, and it did, and that's the mature writing that I love from Awkward, because honestly, I like the way they touch upon how long-distance relationships, they don't work most of the time, and I know a lot of you want Jen and Matty back together. I do think that they will eventually get back together, but it will probably not be till after high school. I do think that eventually something will happen between them, something will spark, they will meet up with each other again. Things happen. It's a very small world. You can see people at any point, so I do see Jen and Matty eventually getting back together at some point, but not now. Now is not the time. They need to focus on college and the future, and they're going in such different directions and Matty has probably the best offer he could get. Going to Berkeley for soccer, that's his dream. He wants to be a soccer player, and that's what he wants to do. And of course, Jenna wants to be a writer. They're both going to their dream colleges, and because of that, they don't want to jeopardize that. They don't want to just change that because they want to be with each other. And even though Jenna really does want to be with Matty, she just, is choosing his future and choosing what he wants to do over her, and I think it was a very mature decision. I definitely really respected Jenna for doing that. I really love the side of Tamara that we're seeing. I really do love it, and it seems like she's not even interested in getting back together with Adam because she knows she screwed up and she knows the relationship is pretty much fractured. So I really like seeing that, definitely. I thought that was definitely very well done, and I hope we see more of this side of Tamara. Definitely, I really like seeing that. As far as Darlene and Sadie go, that's over. Darlene has now ruined everything with Sadie, and I don't believe a word that Darlene says. Even though Darlene wanted to fix things with Sadie, I now think she only did this because she told Ted that she's such a great mother, and she wanted to be that great mother, and that, I think, is why she is trying to be this great mother to Sadie all of a sudden, which is sad because I like the direction they're going, but it makes sense because it felt weird. It did feel weird that Darlene was suddenly doing all these nice things for Sadie. I really love that plot line, but it makes sense that it was all just for Ted, to make it seem like she was a better mother than she was. I can totally understand that. Val and Will, are they actually going to get married? I'm not really sure. We'll have to see if they actually do get married. Does Will really want to marry her? We'll have to see. Next week is prom. There's going to be a two-part prom episode. We're going to basically, I guess, next week is going to be who everyone goes to prom with, and then the next episode will be prom. But like I said, we have 3 episodes left till they're done with high school, which is pretty crazy, but this was just a really, really great episode. I absolutely loved it. It was such a mature episode for Awkward, and I really loved Mesh's episode. And again, I want to tell you guys, I do want Jenny and Matt back together eventually. I do want them back together, but I like the way they're handling it, where Jenna's saying that she really cares about him so much, and she wants him to choose his future over her. You should never choose the girl over your dreams. I mean, as much as you want the girl, you should choose your dreams, because that's something that you can't change. A small decision like that can change the entire course of your life. And also, it's better for them to do this now, because if they were to get together in that scene, they probably would break up very shortly, because they would just get really mad at each other, and they probably just realize that they can't be together. So it's nice that she kind of just ended it before anything could happen. I definitely really like seeing that. But overall, guys, by far best episode of the season. Absolutely loved it. And especially for Awkward, it was just such a mature episode. I was so impressed by how mature the ending was. It was really a fantastic episode overall. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode. I understand if you guys are upset that Jenny and Matt are together. I understand there are fans that really want them back together. I get that. I'm someone that just goes with what the show wants, and I'm very happy that the show chose to do this, because I don't think it's time to get Jenny and Matt back together. I don't think that's the time now. I think now is the time to see them follow their dreams and become, do what they want to do. And then what I like about this time jump is that there's still room open for that storyline. The fact they're doing this time jump after these 3 episodes, that gives them time to be able to tell that story of Jenny and Maddie and seeing if they get back together. And a lot of people think the show is about Jenny and Maddie. I don't see the show being about Jenna and Maddie. I see the show being about just all these different people, and obviously it's about Jenna's life, but Maddie obviously is a big part of it. But I do feel that she is going to get over him, and we'll have to see how that goes. But overall, guys, an amazing episode. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. This was an amazing episode overall, and I will see you guys in the next video, which I promise you guys, one, I do want to tell you guys 2 things. One, I'm done with Blind Spot, okay? I found out what happened last night. It's so stupid. I'm sorry. I'm not continuing that. I heard it's terrible now. Most people said that's the episode where they're just done, so I'm not reviewing Blind Spot anymore. 2, I'm so sorry that I was not able to get a 31 Days of Horror review up yesterday. I will try to get one up, 2 actually up. I want to try to get 2 up today. There are 2 movies I'm going to watch. I'm going to try to do that today. Hopefully I can, but I will see you guys in the next video, which will be for a movie review, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.